everyone. Welcome back to the Creatively Thinking podcast. Join Carolyn Botello as she uncovers the inspirations behind some incredibly creative minds that are orbiting our local communities.
Okay, so hi, Jean. Is it Jean-Martin? Or am I saying it right?
Yeah, you got it. Jeanmartin.
Jean-Martin, okay. How are you? I am happy to have you on the Creatively Thinking with Carolyn B podcast. You are a Quebec-based artist originally from Morocco, thriving creatively with your multi-disciplinary practice. When was it that you decided to make art your creative career path? Was it working with your hands, your emotional insights, or something else?
Well, I think it really all starts in the 70s and in Cégep, where I started making some paintings. And that's Cégep is our college here. And I started making a few acrylic paintings and I really enjoyed it. And when I finished Cégep, that was in like 1972. A little later on in 1979, I was offered a huge abandoned dance studio as to paint it, and I was fortunate enough to have it for like 5 years. So I was able to do very large paintings there, and inside that abandoned dance studio was also a lot of abandoned material. And I started doing assemblage work by making little totems and all that. And that sort of led me to sculpture, from painting to sculpture. It's the influence of the Hemsley Building Studio.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, how is it that you can do so many sort of mediums? Like, I just figured people usually are just a sculptor or a painter, or, you know, like they choose one, but you're like doing everything. I mean, how do you have time?
Well, the time is like the passion, you know, like you obviously, it's like I try to do it like every day, as often as I can. I'm always thinking about art anyways. And the fact that I'm using, I get very like excited by new materials and new tools. It's sort of so when I discover, like painting oil, I get excited by oil. Then, acrylic, acrylic is fun. Then watercolors. My father was a watercolor artist, so I dabbled in that, and that was fun too. And then when you get into sculptures, then all the tools become even more fun, like welders and grinders, and that's material and tools. That's what really drives me to do work.
You are originally from Morocco, and you and your family settled in Quebec when you were around 6 years old. What would you say has been an influence from your home country? Or do you find growing up in Quebec has left more of an imprint on you? What do you think has been the most important aspect of being surrounded by Canadian culture? And how does it relate to your artwork? I know that's a lot, isn't it? To just say all at once.
Yeah. I was born in Morocco. My father was French, my mother was Spanish, and they decided to leave the country when I was 6 years old. I barely remember, we came by boat, like the real immigrants, on a boat called Leonardo da Vinci. But we didn't come right away to Quebec. We came to New York, where my mother's twin brother lived. So we went from Casablanca to New York. We stayed there about many months at my uncle's house. And my father was a real Frenchman. He didn't want to live in an English environment, speaking English. So he had heard about Quebec, and we moved to Quebec. And from there, when we arrived here, my parents didn't know what Montreal looked like, and we moved into the toughest neighborhood you can imagine. It was called Faubourg à la Mélasse. It's like the molasses neighborhood, it's called, where all the workers from downtown worked, and that's where I was brought up. And then my father, we're talking 1957 here. My father realized that even though Quebec was French, it was very much Anglophone. For like, if you wanted to work, you had to speak English. So he sent me to an English school to learn English, and that's where I learned English. So I have like, I was always close to the French Canadian culture, but but my all my schooling was done in English. My university, my grade school, everything.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the French, from what I know, I mean, I'm not Quebec French, but from what I know, they're very, very particular about their language and just, but yeah, I do notice that there is a big English, I was going to say Anglophone, but an English part of Quebec, especially Montreal. Yeah.
Yeah, Montreal is it's one of the biggest bilingual.
Yeah. Quebec
It's very
City, not so
bilingual.
much, but definitely.
No, no, no. As soon as you're out of Montreal, it's French. Yeah, it's a question of, it's culture. It's like it's a different culture. Even outside of Montreal, like Montrealers are not considered like like pure Quebecois.
Yeah.
There's a mixture.
You are currently preparing for a group exhibition. Can you tell our audience what that will involve so they can support you? The sculptures I saw on your Facebook are metal and enormous, very warm and inviting. Can you give yourself sort of a little endorsement here?
Oh yeah, okay. Well, there's the group show that I'll be participating. The like is in Benin. It's in Africa. It's been picked with. I'm part of a group of 6 artists. The other 5 are painters, and I'm the I think I'm the only sculptor. And we're going there, and it's organized by the Quebec government and the federal government and the Afro Museum, and it's going to be like in October and November, and we'll be going there invited by the government of Benin, which is in West Africa, and the Benin has also the longest mural on the planet. It's 5 kilometers long, and the government will allow us. They're giving us a little piece of the mural to work on, and we'll be speaking in different schools and universities to talk to students about how it is to be an artist in Canada. And we'll also be showing our work that we'll have done there in a museum, and we'll participate in videos, and there'll be catalogs. So it'll be a big boost to my career in a certain way, that people will be able to have access to what I'm doing through many different mediums, like interviews and catalogs and everything like that. That's a big thing. And I'm also part of another group which is called Usine 106U, which is a collective of artists that are situated in Montreal. At the base, we're like about 10 artists of my generation. And every month we invite 20 other younger artists to exhibit their work. And some of them, it's the first time they're exhibiting, and they're like they're very excited. Others have shown their work before. But this has been going on, been part of that collective since 2015, and it's every month. And actually, it's tonight is the vernissage, the opening of one of our shows.
Yeah. Do you find, like you were saying, you're primarily, based in Quebec? Has that given you a lot more sort of access to other, I guess, group shows and just sort of artist groups and things like that. Like you just more exposure in a sense because of that.
Well, yeah, well, Montreal is very culture oriented, and there's a lot of galleries here, and there's a lot of collectives, and yes, there's like if a an artist can find many venues here. Like I'm also part of another group, which is like a collage group, and they I just received a letter saying that I'll be the collage artist of the month. So they'll I have to send them photos, and they're gonna publish that on their sites
Yeah.
and all that. It's very active here, but I'm sure in Ontario and Toronto there's a lot of activity there too.
Yeah. I just thought just the language and everything would just seem to be giving.
No. The language has nothing to do with it. I think it's just
Yeah.
being part of the right community.
Yeah, that's true.
There's some of that everywhere.
If you were to choose a medium that has been the most challenging, what would it be? And would the medium that is the most rewarding be the same one, and why?
Yeah. Well, I would say that the most challenging medium is like wood, because you're usually when you're carving wood, if you make a mistake, you
Yeah.
can't put it back together, you know. And that's carving. And when you make sculptures, there's like two different forms of sculptures. There's the assemblage, where you add to make something. You take different pieces of wood or different pieces of metal, and you put them together, and that makes a sculpture. And then there's also like removing. It's like, so carving is removing. So
Mm-hmm.
carving is very hard. It's you can't make mistakes. It's a very hard thing. My favorite my favorite way of
Mm-hmm.
doing art is definitely assemblage. It's much easier. I work. I've
Mm-hmm.
always worked with found objects, so I have a huge bank of metal that I've bought in
Mm-hmm.
scrap yards and all that, piles, and I know where everything is. And I go, oh, this piece goes with this one, and I start welding them together, and I can usually
Mm-hmm.
make a
Yeah,
sculpture.
I was thinking about that not specifically wood and the assemblage, but how I just picked up some markers for a really
Yeah.
discounted price. And I was thinking that, like I usually have worked with paint, and paint is very forgiving because you can just keep doing layers and layers and not, if you make mistakes, well, you can go over it and just make new marks. But then with working with marker, it's like once you've made the mark, it's committed. It's so in a way, it's similar to wood. It's like once you've taken away, then it's the same as the marks you make with marker. You've committed those marks, and now you're done. Like it's sort of like watercolor. I find watercolor, once you've made your marks or your paint with watercolor, it's not very forgiving.
No. My father was a watercolor artist, and you're right. You know, once you made the mark on the
Yeah, you're
paper, it
committed.
usually doesn't leave. You know,
Yeah,
it stays. Yeah, that's a hard
yeah.
medium too. Watercolor is very tough. I admire all the watercolor artists.
Can you inform our audience on when exactly you started welding and why? Was it after you received your Deschamps prize? After you have finished a certain level of education, or was it at another time?
Actually, it's the Duchamp Villon Prize that I won was in 1987. And it was made from wood of that studio that I was talking about, the Hensley studio that had an old dance studio that I used as a atelier. I got the prize, and that sort of really encouraged me. Like people said, "Oh, your sculptures are so interesting. They have movement and this and that." And the having won that prize, and I remember that some of the people that had presented work were like famous artist. I was still self-taught, and so I was very happy. But I always, in my mind, I always had that that sort of, I don't know if it's called a complex or something, that I didn't have a formal art education. So in 1999, I went back to university, to Concordia University, to do a BFA, and there, that's when the welding started. They had like fantastic welding facilities, and I was encouraged by some of my professors there to weld, and that sort of became my favorite medium. I think it came from Concordia itself.
Being a multidisciplinary artist, do you see all the mediums you use as different personalities of your character, or do you see them as different layers of your creative practice?
Oh no! They're every medium will challenge your personality for sure. Like if you welding is like fire and hammering hard objects all the time, and that takes a toll physically on your body and your mental also. Painting is usually more relaxed, and if you're doing small paintings, but if you're doing like large paintings like the ones I did in the Hemsley studio in the 80s, the large paintings using like very wide paintbrushes that are like sometimes 4 inches wide, that is also physically challenging. Your whole body goes into action.
And exhausting, sounds like.
Yeah, so it's like a fight, It's like you're fighting with materials and tools. That's the part I like about art the most. I'm more a physical person than mentally. For me, what's important is the process of making it more than the image, because what you're doing, you'll always have like comments on whether they like the subject matter or not, which it's everybody's opinion, but nobody can tell you that like you're using too small a brush or too big a brush, or you're putting too much weld or this or that. That's personal. I don't think as long as it's well done, it's important. You have to have like quality.
Yeah, you're the action artist. There you go.
I'm an action artist.
Yeah, because there's all those painters from the 70s that were all about action painting and whatever, and they still continue.
Yeah.
But I mean, so you're an action artist of all dimensions, I guess.
And for the past 15 years, I've been removing publicity posters from the walls and using them as art collages.
Oh, nice.
Giant collages. Oh, yeah. That's very rewarding.
Yeah, there's a lot of the repurposing or upcycling. That's it. Upcycling. That's the one.
Upcycling is the new word, the new buzzword. Yeah.
And we'll be right back.
Do you see your creative practice as having any specific influence from art history, or do you see your style and techniques as original, or a blending together of many different artists and styles from various movements?
Well, since I'm self-taught, it all started by magazines, and I was influenced by everything I read, like from the Russian supremacists to the pop art in the United States to the nouveau réalisme in France, and all that to me was art and different ways of doing it. I didn't see it as like a history or a form of. I had no schooling, so I didn't know much about art history. So I did all these things at the same time. not knowing that there's a difference between abstract expressionism and surrealism and this and that. It just didn't. And I thought all the artists, I never thought like, like when you look at the old masters like Picasso and all that, and I have his books around, he did like ceramic, painting, sculptures, everything. So I didn't think, like you had to have like one medium that you did the rest of your life, and or you painted the rest of your days in the same style. It wasn't for me. So and don't forget, I come from the group that got brought up in the 80s when in the 80s, all the galleries were in Montreal. All the galleries were closing. What was left was the houses of culture and a few galleries. So basically, it was very hard to find galleries to show your work, and the museums would only take like well-known artists. So as an upcoming artist, you had no chance. So what was left was experimenting. Experimenting is what is my specialty. Is like, of all the artists of the 80s, we started, okay, since we're not showing our work and we don't really need a particular signature, let's have fun. Let's try wood. Let's try metal. Let's try paint. Let's try acrylic. Let's do this. Let's do that. So basically, it's I think I'm just a product of the 80s. It's like something like that. That's how I see it. It could be just, or it could just be in my nature.
Yeah, you're just trying everything on for size just to see how it fit, right?
Yeah.
When you begin a piece, do you know what your result will be, or do you figure it out while you are working on it? Does it depend on the media you are using, or does it depend on the piece exclusively?
Well, if you're doing a commission for someone,
that's
you definitely
different.
have to start making little drawings before, and you try to deliver what you drew. But if you're doing things for yourself, and in my case, let's say we're talking about welding, I will have, like, even since I picked up a piece of metal, from the scrapyard, when I buy the little piece that I find, whether it be an old tool or a piece of machinery of some sort, I already had in my mind what it looked like. It looked like a nose, an ear, a face, a foot, so that little piece already had a life that I was going to give it.
It had an essence of some kind.
Yeah. So it's that's when the magic starts. Like you start putting all these little pieces together, and an error of welding will sometimes be a fantastic thing. You go, oh wow, this is like it wasn't supposed to go there, but if it goes there, it's super nice. Like you thought you'd put it like right side up, and you put it upside down, and you go, oh, it looks better that way. So I think that an artist that works himself on his art, his mistakes will maybe be the best part of the piece. Today I know there's a lot of artists that get their work done by others. They have like atelier, they have like support people that mix their paint, and the others will weld for them. I prefer doing my own work myself.
Yeah, that sounds better, because then it's really you. It's not just people working for you. Well, it's like Andy Warhol's factory, and Picasso had people working for him too, right? So
exactly.
Although he is said to have had 20,000 pieces that he made, but did he make them, or did he have other people make them? Some of them anyway, right? So.
Well, I'm pretty sure he was a very passionate artist.
He is,
you talking about Warhol or Picasso?
Well, I was talking about Picasso. Well, both of them, because Picasso, Warhol had the factory, and then he had people working for him. And I don't know about Picasso, but he was very prolific, and he did have all those, like you were saying, he was the sculptor and the painter, and he had so many different mediums he was using as well. I never thought of it that way.
Basilitz is one of the rare painters, and he's a painter and a sculptor. he's very well known for his sculptures too. I don't know if you know who he is. Oh, he's a German artist, and he's very well known in his country. He's known all over the world, and he paints.
No, I don't.
His paintings are known to be political, and his sculptures also. So he has like wooden sculptures and beautiful paintings. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. By art, well, we're still alive.
I'll have to check this guy out. He's definitely probably worth a lot more now that he's dead, right? That's how it works for artists, unfortunately. Yeah. When working on a sculpture, collage, or painting, do you find yourself posing a specific mindset or perspective as you begin the piece? With this, I mean, where do you start? Do you start with sketches, drawings, dreams, discussions, or moments?
What I'm going to be making, I start from scratch, from the material itself, putting it up.
Yeah.
Like from the base up, you're looking because in sculptures, an important part of it is the base. So you have to find a base first, and the base is always like a problem in sculpture for all the sculptors. What kind of a base do you use? Round, square? Is it big? Is it small? But it's always. I remember, like in Concordia, all the students would ask questions like that. What do we do with it? If we have an electrical light on, what do we do with the cord? Or what do we do with this? It has to be hidden, or it has to be part of the piece. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's like, what do you start with? And then that determines kind of where it's going and everything about it, I guess. Yeah, as a sculptor, you'd have to start. Yeah, you have to start with the beginning. But then Michelangelo would say
I could understand
that he would see the image in the rock and then he would just carve it out, right? Carve out the excess from.
I'm not, like I said, I'm not that kind of an artist. I add instead of taking off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's two different forms of making art, and you realize.
Yeah, the adding is like you were saying, one way, or subtracting
which
is the
one
other.
Brings you the more pleasure, and which one makes you stand out of what you wanted to do, that you express yourself more clearly. I'm a assemblage person for sure.
Looking back at your previous work, I saw the transition from more realist pieces to abstract. What sparked this move in your creativity? Was it the time, your travels, or your creative journey that made this change happen?
It's more the journey and the people you meet. I was doing a figurative work, and they were kind of. Some people told me they were kind of naive, and so I started doing more like abstract work, and that sort of also was interesting, but it wasn't my style. I'm still like a figurative person, and abstraction is not it's not exactly what I want to do. I probably the pieces you've seen were probably experimental or suggested by some friends, or after discussions, or this or that, or maybe it's just the material that I had bought from the scrapyard that season that sort of maybe led me to do that. Maybe they were like pieces that had like geographic forms that sort of when assembled together did not give a figurative shape, but more abstract.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably, I'm not sure what pieces you're talking about, but
Mm-hmm.
I understand. I've dabbled in that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think it was like it just seemed like you were going more abstract with the collages that you were, the
Oh, the collages.
the way it seemed like that was the way your creativity was taking you for a while with your Facebook sort of post.
Oh, yes.
Because
That's the collage.
there was a significant, I guess, period in the photos you have where you could see the really figurative, like you could, there was no like dramatic shift in your pictures, but it was like I could see that you went from like the figurative to the more abstract, and I was like, oh, I wonder what that is. Well, if there was
I
like
know, and
something that well, why that happened, I thought I'd just ask about that.
I know exactly why that happened.
Okay.
I know. Yeah, it's
Okay.
in the collages. The collages. Well, what happened was these collages, like I told you, they're like posters that I rip off the walls,
Mm-hmm.
publicity posters, and they're like some of them are 20 thick. Like there's like an image of one on top of the other, and I put all these huge posters into baths of water, and they start decomposing themselves.
Mm.
So when I started like removing the image and placing them on canvas to make my collages, because I do 5 or 6 at the same time, there were a lot of little pieces that were left.
Mm.
And all these little pieces, I didn't feel like throwing them away.
Mm-hmm.
So I started placing them on the canvas. And what happened is all these little chunks they started looking like abstract paintings.
Mm.
And I did a few of those with the
Mm-hmm.
leftovers.
Mm.
And yeah,
Okay.
I know exactly what pieces you're talking about.
Okay, so see, there we go. We figured it out where the transition happened and what I saw. Okay, that's good. Yeah, because I could see those pieces that you took off the walls and how they were dissolving, and then they became something that you just couldn't let go of because they spoke to you as something that you were going to make, right? So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I saved it until we were closer to the end, as I didn't want it I didn't want to lead with it. But would you like to share your story of how your Raven moniker came about?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was offered to make a show, a solo exhibit at la Maison de la Culture Notre-Dame-de-Grâce in Montreal. And I had some totems there and some cones that I had made with. It's a technique that I learned in Africa about making sculptures using armature and covering them with burlap, and then you paint them and they become rigid. Well, I needed the sculptures I was showing had all been done. They had already selected the work, but I wanted to show something new, and I decided, oh, in all my travels, because I love to I travel a lot, and all the countries I go to, there's one bird that we have in common all over the world is the raven. He's everywhere. He's in every country. And I decided, oh, I'll do something. So I made this 14-foot raven made from metal, burlap,
Mm-hmm.
and tar to make it black and to show. And as I was working intensely on this sculpture, I started doing research on ravens. And then I realized that ravens they were the first, in ancient mythology, they were regarded as very venerable birds. Like Odin had two ravens on his throne. Hugin and Munin, they were called, which is like wit and humor, and he'd send them out to get information. And I found out that on the Noah's Ark, before they sent out a dove, they sent the raven out, and he came back with nothing. And only in like later later years, did the bird get a bad rap, if we call it, because he was like called a scavenger on the battlefield, eating corpse, and then people started not liking the bird and thinking it was like a bad omen and this and that. And I decided to give it back some credit, and I made the sculpture, and then I got involved in many opportunities to work with ravens and in other forms. I made a totem for a festival called the Festival de la Paraculture, and it was the trophy that they were given to the artist was a raven that I made. And slowly it sort of became what do you call a subconscious feeling that I had with ravens. I just practically not communicated with them, but if I'd see one, I sort of try to notice what they were doing, and I learned so much about them that I took on the artist names. The people started calling me Raven, and also because I walked around the streets at night in Montreal, removing publicity posters from the walls. And so the name stuck to me as
There you go.
Raven. So now it's my
Well,
fetish
you got
animal.
you got
Bird.
some respect back for the raven because,
There
as
you
you were
go.
saying, I never knew that about the scavenger and during the war and dead bodies and all that. But I was thinking more of the connection with Hitchcock and Edgar Allan Poe. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Edgar Allan Poe.
So
The Raven Nevermore. Oh no, it's the bird. As my poets have written about it. The Vikings were like very. It was one of their fetish animals. If you take the Haidas from the West Coast, they're very into ravens. They have beautiful raven sculptures. Where I'm going in Benin, they have a female raven that's well known as a female warrior. That's a raven. So yeah, I'm sort of I
you
see
connect with
ravens
them. That's good.
in art everywhere.
Yeah.
I like it. It's a
Yeah.
good bird. It's supposed to be a very smart bird too.
I noticed there are many photos of you and people at galleries and openings. Have you managed to keep your personal and professional life separate online? If yes, congratulations. This is quite a feat. I didn't think it was possible.
No, I'm a very in Montreal. I'm a
Oh,
very
okay.
public person. I'm invited. I have a lot of friends. Well, like I've told you, that because of the gallery that the collective, 30 artists every month are showing their work. Obviously, I have a lot of friends, and they have shows also, and they invite me, and I go to their exhibits, and then I have this. I like taking photos, people. So when I go to different shows, I take photos, I document it, and like you're saying, I do a lot of selfies, and it's
Oh,
half
that's
my
not
face.
question.
That's my
That's the
signature
next question.
selfie.
Wait, you
Ah,
jumped. That's
I
okay.
jumped, huh? Because I
And we'll be right back.
You have made an obvious effort in having many photos of you and your artwork taken where half of your face is absent. What does this symbolize? Is this you creating additional artwork with your artwork?
well, that's what it is. It started. I wanted to photograph where I was, but I wanted to include myself in as being present at that event, or on front of a sculpture, or somewhere in the world, in front of the La Tour Eiffel, or somewhere, London Bridge in England, or wherever. And I didn't want to put my whole face, so I started taking photos with just half my face, and I started getting comments from people. Hey, Jean, when are we going to see the other side of your face? And I'd go, okay, I have something there. It's interesting. So, people started commenting on my photos that I posted on social media, which I'm very like you're saying, I'm all over the media if I can.
Yeah.
Like I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very powerful tool for an artist like me from the '80s that we no galleries, no nothing. We had to do our own promotion.
Mm-hmm.
So
You have to wear every hat.
it's perfect. So actually, all those photos I have, maybe like thousands of photos of half my face and something interesting in the background. And I was thinking of making a little book with all these photos together from different parts of the world and different exhibits and different friends, and calling them the art of the selfie.
Or the half something, like, I don't know what you would.
Or the half selfie. Yeah.
Yeah, half selfie.
So
there you go.
noticed that.
Yeah, it's like, this has to mean something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now some people are sending me photos of half selfies saying, "Hey, we copied your style."
Yeah.
It's funny.
You're influencing others to do the same.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, right. Why not? If it helps other people get creative and,
Everything's good to do art.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we've reached the end of your interview, Jean-Martin. Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you here. No problem. Yeah. I hope we can chat again in the future and see where your creativity takes you.
Well, if you're in Montreal, feel free to come. And if you ever want to show your work at the Usine 106U on West Street in Montreal, it's a collective, and
oh, nice.
It's there's a lot of people are showing their work in Montreal through that gallery. Some people from Toronto actually.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking because I'm English, I thought maybe that's probably why I'm not, or maybe I just don't know where to look for you. I'm not really on Instagram. I am, but I'm not. I don't know. I don't really look up people on Instagram. I should probably get more into that. Instagram's the way now.
Oh yes, definitely. If you go to New York, people when they ask you what do you do, you if you have a website, it's great. But if you don't have a website, you show them your Instagram, and they'll look you up on Instagram and they'll look at your work. It's very it's a fantastic tool.
Yeah, and it's free. It's great.
You don't have to post photos of yourselves. You just put not like me. You could have just your work.
Yeah, it's a great tool for sure.
Yeah. It's the way to go for artists these days, 21st century.
Yeah. Yes. And thank goodness it's free, right?
Oh, yeah, it's free.
So thank you, Jean.
Oh, yeah, it's free.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Caroline, for the interview.
And yeah, hopefully we can talk in the future.
Yes, no problem.
All right.
Pleasure.
Okay, bye.
Goodbye.
Join me next time as I go down another rabbit hole with another creative professional on their insights, their inspirations, and their ingenuity.